Private schools Garces Memorial High School and Bakersfield Christian High School began team workouts on campus last week. Tonight, we're learning Garces Memorial has stopped all athletic activities due to coronavirus concerns, but the COVID-19 pandemic is impacting all high schools within Kern County. 23 ABC Sports Director Carrie Osep is live outside of Garces High School with more on their decision to cancel upcoming practices and more on how the Kern High School District is handling the idea of bringing back sports. Carrie?
Hey Jess, so isn't it wild, right? Just a week ago, I was here on Garces' campus to cover the return to athletics, just a little bit of normalcy, and just a week later, Garces Memorial has announced that they have closed their campus to all of those activities. But before I learned of this news earlier today, I was already speaking with the Kern High School District to hear what they're doing with their public high schools and how they're looking to make a return for the season. And while many hopes are really high, obviously with this news today, many can start to think that that season returning may not be as close as many are hoping for. It took 1 week for Garces Memorial to make the decision to stop athletic activities, saying in a statement that COVID-19 has impacted those close to some of their students and staff, and they want to take precaution as positive cases continue to rise. But they're not alone. For now, the Kern High School District says they're sticking with the plan to keep their campuses closed.
Sports are very important. They're an important part of our kids' education. They're an important part of our schools. But at the end of the day, they're not the most important thing. Our kids' safety and our community safety is the most important thing.
Stan Green, who oversees athletics for the district, which accounts for 18 high schools in the county, understands the desire for a return to normalcy in sports, but has trouble seeing athletics coming back in the fall.
I get the feeling, based on the conversations that I've had and the conversations I've heard, that it's clear we're going to move to January.
While the California Interscholastic Federation, widely known as the CIF, holds the decision for the return of the fall sports season of all high schools in California, set to be made on July 20th, it's KHSD who decides when and if its schools can get back to team workouts.
For us as a district, our school campuses are closed. So because they're closed, we can't be contradictory and say, hey, we're closed for school, but you can still have athletics.
While the district has many tough decisions ahead of them, they're asking their coaches to continue to comply with requests not to practice, even though Green recognizes it's not that easy.
They want to know when the season's going to start and when the playoffs are, because they're developing a plan behind the scenes, a playbook, if you will, kind of like a game plan. And that's the difficult part for the coaches. And as a former coach, I get it.
Centennial's Richard Sterrett, in just his second year as a head coach, was eager to get back to the grind with his team, but knows the importance of being cautious.
And obviously I'm itching to get back, but at the same time I'm keeping in contact through Zoom. I'm trying to make sure my kids are working out. I'm trying to do it the smart way, and I'm trying to make sure that our kids are still prepared when we do have that opportunity to play, that we get to do that.
Sterrett previously coached in Texas, where they had to shut down all sports activities across the state 2 weeks after beginning practices.
I know some people in town are trying to do it the right way, but ultimately when you bring back kids to that situation, 15 to 18-year-old kids are not going to stay apart from each other, and I think that's a hard thing, and I think they found that out. So they ended up just shutting it down statewide because it wasn't fair.
While the Rams are the first to learn that lesson here in town, it's safe to say all the schools have hopes of getting back to sports when it's healthy.
We're going to try to do things the right way. We're going to be safe. We're going to, watch what's going on around town. I think that's the good thing, is you learn from mistakes sometimes and you just keep on moving forward.
Being that these kids are student athletes, it's going to be a lesson for them. My hope is that we come up and we're able to salvage something.
Along with Garces Memorial High School, Bakersfield Christian High School, the other private school here in the county, they were also practicing last week, and I checked in with them today. They're going to continue those athletic activities, but they're just going to be monitoring them on a daily basis. So Jess, really the only clear thing that we have come to as of today is that things are changing rather quickly.
Yes, they are. And Carrie, many people, though, have been wondering why 2 local private schools were able to return to practice, but not the public schools. Who makes those decisions?
Right, so it is a little bit confusing because the CIF governs everybody in terms of when the season returns. But for these 2 schools, Garces Memorial, they are governed by the Diocese of Fresno, while Bakersfield Christian High School is a college preparatory school, meaning that they're their own entity and can make their own decisions based on their board of directors. So that makes it a little interesting, but again, for them, that's why they're kind of like on their own deciding when to return to practices. But for the Kern High School District, they're going to make a decision as a collective. But again, as I said, the CIF holds all the cards in terms of if a season is to be played this fall.
And we're expecting them to make that decision next month. But what's the overall feeling from those people you have spoken to about the return of a season this fall?
Yeah, so we're looking at that date at July 20th. And again, so I've spoken to some coaches, some athletes, and now Stan Green of KHSD. And basically, Jess, everyone has hope and they want to see a season return. But as you heard Stan Green in that story, people are not hoping, or they are not thinking, despite having hope, that this season will return in the fall. And it looks like the CIF, from the rumblings that we have been able to hear, that they're going to bring a sports season back in January versus bringing all the sports back during the fall. So again, as you can imagine, there's a lot of difficulties that ride with that, but we'll have to see how that all shakes out. But again, July 20th will be the date that we'll all be looking forward to see what their decision is.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to next month. Carrie Osep live for us at Garces Memorial. Thanks, Carrie. And last week we reached out to Kern County Public Health to see if the return of select sports activities for the two private schools has been mandated by the state. They said in part the state has not yet released guidance for youth and other organized sports, and in fact has issued guidance documents for other sectors that specifically states that organized sports are not yet permitted to resume. But you can see that full statement by heading to our website, turnto23.com.